I said, no, my doubts and demons on their way. Every endeavor I have made ever is coming into play, is here and now today.
Yes, yes, friends. Guess what? This is your moment to find out my amazing new guest. And by the way, I appreciate all of you. You get to ring the victory bell for being here and being so amazing. And just like my next guest, she is incredibly amazing. Let me tell you all about her. Her name is Lorin Mask. Now, clients describe her as a natural motivator. Utilizing her easygoing style, she empowers top-tier leaders to enhance their performance and success through her programs. She loves helping career moms go from feelings of overwhelm and the need for perfection to a calmer and more resilient life. In her 35-plus year career, she has held many leadership positions in organizational development, learning, and coaching in a wide range of industries. And as a former adjunct professor who taught organizational psychology and the psychology of judgment and decision-making, Lorin is the co-host of the upcoming podcast, The Best Friends at Work. So without any further delay, the super beautiful, super talented, the one who walked to school uphill both ways in the snow, barefoot, the one and only Lorin Mask. There we go. Welcome, Lorin. How are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic too. Now, for those that are on the live right now, you thrive, and on the replay, you get to play again. Click that link down below so that you can also comment on the live and also be fantabulous with us. So, Lorin, let's just dive right in. I mean, I got a couple of questions for you, and I find it fascinating. I've been in cancer research for 26 years. I've always thought about being a teacher or a professor at a university. I mean, that's just, I give you a lot of props for that, because I know through teaching karate, as well as teaching other training and like leadership workshops for corporate pharma, teaching is one of the hardest things you will ever do, isn't it?
So, second.
Oh, okay.
Parenting's the first one. Teaching's the second one.
Right. So you talk about something called negativity addiction. What is that?
Really great question. And a lot of people ask me this because they're going, is that like something that it's very simple, right? Negativity addiction is briefly described as a reoccurring mental pattern that keeps people focused on negative thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So to explain a little bit more, right? Some people, negativity can just be like an occasional response to life's challenges. You know, we get ourselves down, we're kind of upset. But what negativity addiction is, gets to a point where we can't bounce back. We don't have that resilience, and it becomes an ingrained habit. We get to a point where we just really start thriving and we start feeding off of that negativity. And it can really affect our success with our relationships and our success at work and our careers.
So to me, like I was an EMT, like we were talking about something called Munchausen syndrome, where people are looking for sort of that negative reinforcement. Oh, I'm so sick. I want some attention. And this is it similar to that? I mean, I kind of think the psychology sounds parallel to me.
Right. Well, it's kind of where we get to a point where, there's the different hormones that we have in our brains and in our bodies, right? Mm-hmm. It takes a lot of dopamine, a lot of adrenaline to overcome any negativity that we have in our bodies. Yep. So once we start feeling onto this negativity, the other thing is that we start to also kind of externalize negativity. It is all because of the world around me. So we give it a lot of external attribution. And we are justified in our negativity because the world treats us, we become these victims or any kinds of various and different labels that we can have. But we tend to put that on the outside of our bodies.
Mm-hmm. So now when we talk about like negativity addiction, I think about in psychology. I remember I took a course once, and I remember hearing about the ad- differences in positive pressure versus negative pressure, meaning that some people, like a lump of coal, you put too much pressure, they start to crumble and turn to dust. Versus if you apply positive pressure, that lump of coal over pressure and heat and time, like in a volcano, turns into a diamond. So is this negativity addiction have some sort of bearing with that?
Absolutely. So let me give you another example
Uh-huh.
similar to that, because that's really great. So a lot of people go, "Oh, I thrive under pressure. No pain, no gain," right? And
Yeah.
we're finding in the research that that's not really even true, even in athletics and muscle building, right?
Yeah.
So what we're finding is that incremental work over time is what's really working. So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
When you put your hand on a hot stove, what do?
Oh, you pull it back
Pull it back right away.
because it hurts.
So we think
Hmm.
of pressure and stress kind of the same way, right? We're going to have pressure, we're going to have stress in our life. How we respond to those pressures and how we respond to that stress is how we're going to move throughout the world, right? And how we're going to make our success or not make our success. So overcoming negative addiction is when we're keeping our hand on that hot stove.
Oh, so you're basically like rewiring your brain into saying like, all right, I have this and negative pressure, but I'm going to try to deal with it instead of retracting from it.
Right. So the diamond is when we find ourselves in circumstances
Yeah.
that we might label as bad. There's a time and a period where we accept the moment that this is a thing that's happening. We're not going to label it good or as bad, but we're going to accept it for the moment. And then what we're going to do is try to convert it into a gift or opportunity, right?
Mhm.
Flat
Yep.
tire on my way. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, in the world, da 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 da, right? But what we don't know is what the universe is designed for us. Maybe if we didn't have that flat tire, 5 minutes later down the highway was a horrible crash where 5 people died. And you might have been in that crash had it not been for the flat tire. I mean, I'm just making up that kind of incredible story. But it's
Right.
quite
The idea of like life doesn't happen to you; it happens for you.
right. So
Mhm.
oftentimes, right? Yeah. But there are things that we can do. There are a lot of things that we can do to overcome
Right. Hmm.
negativity addiction. And first of all, because the first step, of course, is recognizing. But there's 3 really core muscles in us. Well, we call it muscles, although it's in the brain. The brain doesn't have any
Yeah.
muscles.
Yeah.
But I call it the 3 core muscles that we
Yep.
can do every day to help overcome this negativity. Those 3 muscles are what we call a sage interceptor. Misspeaking. Saboteur
Mm.
interceptor,
Yep.
sage response, and self-command.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah. And I remember taking a positive what was it a PQ course and hearing those terms and what is my sage, what's my saboteur, and trying to figure out which way do
Right.
we want to work that, you know. And by the way, if you're getting some value already, please give us some thumbs up and some likes. I already see some people give us some hearts and some thumbs up already. Thank you so much for that. You can ring the Victor bell for being awesome. So so continue. So we're talking about, you said the sage, the saboteur, and the what?
Self-command.
And the self command. Yep. Hmm.
Yep. Yep. So, all of us have within us these, I like to call them kind of inner dialogues, right? And they are inner dialogues that we call judge, right? To go along that
Yep.
same idea of the PQ, which is exactly what I'm talking about, right? We have the
Mhm.
judge and we have the 9 saboteurs that kind of come along with that judge. So there's 10, saboteurs that we have to overcome on a regular basis. And we all have kind of different ones. So one of my number one saboteurs is the avoider, right?
Yeah.
If things are yucky or things are icky, I'll talk myself into, my judge will lie to me and tell me
Mhm.
that activity is and what a stage
Mhm.
response is, or what a command might be, is
Yep.
first, what's one thing that I can do to go towards what I really want? So the first step, of course, is to discover what your saboteurs are, what your key saboteurs are, And then the next step, of course, of that is to then intercept the saboteurs and judges and learn the techniques, which is where the self-command comes in, to then, of course, increase that sage response.
Gotcha. And do you have an example of a client story you can tell us without divulging a name, where someone has gone through this experience and what was the result of it?
Yeah. So let me give you, okay, I have a great client. She's a mom and a business owner, and her business is only about 3 years old. I mean, sorry, a 1-year-old. But there's 3 partners. So there's her and 2 other partners. And one of the partners is very intimidating to her. Lots and lots and lots of experience. And so this client wanted confidence. She says, one of the things I'm really looking for is more confidence and belief in myself. And after going through the program, and we're still working and coaching together at this point, she is telling me that her family and partners are noticing a difference. There's this idea that, her partners would say things that would make her feel less confident. And I said, okay, well, let's work this around. So it was really more of what her judges were saying as opposed to what was really happening in the external world. So, so it's going really great for her. And doing all this work, of course, my own story, has been, using these techniques and has a huge impact on me as well.
Well, what happened in your story? Like what was that pivotal moment where you finally shifted over and then were able to go into self-command and kind of like, turn down those saboteurs in your life?
So I've been laid off 3 times in my work career. And this last time I was trying to kind of navigate that. And we all know what being laid off is like. It's a circumstance that's given to us. How do we see this as a gift and opportunity? So while I was going out there, so I've been a coach for 20 something years, and this program came across my purview about positive intelligence. And I had seen it before a couple of years, but I didn't really take and get involved with it. I was like, oh, I'll kick the can down the road because I had a lot of other things going on. And it popped up again, right? And I thought, the universe is telling me something, that maybe this is something I should explore. And I did. And what it's done is it's given me the courage to, for the 3rd time, become a solopreneur as an independent coach, as a consultant, doing facilitation and training and loving the process. A lot of entrepreneurs go, oh, I hate sales and marketing. And I thought, well, you know what? How do I embrace something I might think is not great as fun? And that's what I've done. It's not sales and marketing anymore. It's sharing what I have with others and learning and teaching people what I've learned that's helped me. And it's so rewarding.
Yeah. I mean, you can think about it this way. Like for me, like I was attribute coaching to kind of like, there are great used car salesmen and there's really bad ones. And unfortunately, the bad ones get the lion's share of the attention. But there are so many good ones out there, and we got to think about it that way. Is that you're not there to just simply to sell a car. You're there to help someone change their life. You're there to help make sure their kids get to swim class or cheerleading or soccer practice on time. You're here to help make sure that person that says, I just need something to get to the train station and back, that you give them the right vehicle to help them do that. You help somebody, buy their dream car. Like I still want to, so I'm going to tell you all of this. My dream car is I want a Porsche. and I definitely want one. And I don't know when I'll get it. I was hoping to be this year, might be next year.
Hey.
But that is going to be my goal, is next year I want to buy a Porsche. So this year I actually went for a test drive on my birthday.
Awesome. I love it.
And I test drove a Porsche Cayenne. I took my 2 kids with me. And my wife said she wasn't interested. So I said, okay, fine, no problem. You stay home. And so we test drove it. And even my kids were like, Daddy, this is not as fast as the Bolt. We also bought a Chevy Bolt. the torque of electric vehicles is unreal if you've never had one
I
yet. So
I have not. I haven't had the opportunity, but it is something I think about for sure.
exactly, yeah. So I want to share with you all down below. Lauren has a gift that you can share. Now, what is the a benefit that they're going to get by clicking on your link down below?
Perfect. So the link clicks to a worksheet, addiction worksheet. So it's just a questionnaire, and you can rate yourself through this short questionnaire and kind of figure out, where you might be landing in negativity. Are you like just, off the deep end and like really struggling, or are you kind of somewhere in the middle? What most people are that I tend to work with. And then some people are really doing great. But then they might be having a few blinders. Maybe they're being what we would call, right, overly confident. It's a cognitive bias that we often have, that, we're in a little bit of maybe a slight denial about where we might be.
Yeah.
So there's a
Call that
little bit
toxic
of like just
positivity.
tricks and tips in there for people at the end for
Yeah.
them to kind of figure out, oh, so this is like, maybe if I'm this way, these are some steps and tips that I could move towards a more successful life and a more positive outlook.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for that, Lauren. So make sure you all click on that link down below. If you're on the podcast, it'll be in the show notes. If it's on YouTube, it'll be in a banner or something clickable. You guys are smart. You'll find it. So make sure you grab that link below. I'm going to give Lauren a big victory bell because we're going to shift gears a little bit and talk about the softer side of series. This is what I call the speed dating round. And we get to know you as a person, because people join a person, not a business. So let's get to know you and really see how people vibe with you. So tell us a little bit more about, where did you grow up? How'd you grow up?
Oh my gosh. So I currently live in the great state of New York, but I am born and raised in Austin, Texas.
Ah.
Yeah. So I have, I have a great, there's 6 of us in my family, the original family.
Yeah.
From being a kid. And I grew outside of Austin, so small area.
I
But close enough
have
to
two
the city.
cousins that are in the Fort Worth and the Dallas area. So just went there
Oh,
back.
okay.
I just
Yeah.
visited Allen, Texas back in February.
Wow. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
never
pretty
been there
cool.
actually. Been to Dallas Fort Worth, but I have not been
I've
to
been, yeah. I remember flying into. We had a conference years ago, a scientific conference in melanoma, and I was guiding people into the conference center, and it was in Houston. And then we took a little detour, and we went to the Space Center half of the day. We're like one of those days while we were there, and we had a blast. It was a great time
Oh
there.
yeah, the NASA Space Center is really interesting
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
So, what about? Tell me about growing up. Was there a movie or was there a book that helped shape the way you think now?
Oh my gosh. Um, Growing up, one of the ways I connected with my parents was through musicals.
Oh,
When I was
I love theater.
little,
Mhm.
uh, the 2 of them, West Side Story and The Sound of Music.
Oh, great.
2 of my favorite ever movies growing up. And when I was younger, of course, I wanted to be a famous movie star and star in fun musicals like that. So I ended up getting a theater degree. But oddly enough, navigating to behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, I got into in ninth grade, and I finally got into the chorus, and I started auditioning and started getting good as a singer from them, because obviously, as most people know, when you sing, you don't have you don't stutter when you sing. So it became my one freedom, the only time I felt free. So I really poured myself into that, and for that, I love music, and also because it changes everybody. It doesn't matter, like I don't care where you're from. If you hear like the Rocky theme, it gets people pumped up.
Yes,
You know, when you
absolutely.
when you hear a Taylor Swift song like Shake It Off, people start tapping their foot or start
You
like
can't help yourself. Yeah,
moving their head. Yeah,
I love music 'cause I was also a dancer for a long
nice,
younger.
nice.
And so when I have my own small, victory or celebration, or, I accomplish a task. Because remember, avoiders are my number one saboteur. So if
Yep.
I get through a task and I do it early before the deadline, I put on my dance music and I dance around and I cheer. And it's like, that's my fun.
You'll laugh. I did Singing in the Rain, God, more than 20 years ago, and I still have my Capizio, so I still got my tap shoes.
Love
And
it.
that's the show where I learned to tap dance, and it was a blast. What
Oh
about
my gosh, I love
talk a little
Singing in
bit
the
about-
Rain.
yeah, that's a great musical. We had I was cast as the tenor soloist, so I was singing Beautiful Girls to my new wife at the time, so I got brownie points for that. What about was there a favorite book that helped you, whether it's back then or even more recent, that has really helped kind of inspire you or change you?
Mm. So I have a plethora of books on my bookshelf. I'd
Don't we
have to
all?
say probably one of the number one books would be a book. There's a fiction and a nonfiction. I'll go
Okay.
with fiction first. So as a kid, my favorite, like if you say, what's your favorite book? The first thing that pops into my head, which I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's one I always think of, it's The Stand by Stephen King. Just
Okay.
because of the Stephen King, to me, as a writer, he's got an amazing gift of adjectives and really painting,
Yeah.
creating, and putting people in the story. My nonfiction favorite book, with a toss-up, I would probably say Crucial Conversations.
Oh, that's a great book. I have that here too.
Yeah, I teach that class. I'm certified to teach that class. And
Nice.
speaking of, besides positive intelligence, that's the second thing that was a big life changer for me was Crucial Conversations, because it applies to anything and everything that we do. Because if you're not getting results 9 times out of 10, it's because of another person. So what are we doing to right that relationship, right?
Yeah. What's a fun fact about you that maybe people don't know?
I met King Charles when he was Prince Charles.
No way. That's amazing.
Yes, I did. So in Texas, we had back when I was in high school, we had
Yeah.
this
hmm
there is the Six Flags over Texas. Everyone knows the theme park Six Flags. Well, where that comes from is originally there's the Six Flags over Texas. And England is one of those flags that helped Texas become independent from Mexico. And he came to Austin for fun, events and regalia, et cetera, and so forth. And I grew up by an Air Force base. My dad is an Air Force guy. And
Yep.
I was in the
Happy
student
Veterans Day
council.
yesterday.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
Yes.
I was in the student council, and the colonel's wife of the Air
Yep.
Force base said, wouldn't it be great if we had the kids from the high school come and welcome him? So we got to go on the tarmac. The Royal Air
Yep.
Force jet flew in. We bought him a cowboy hat. It was too small for his head.
That's too funny.
He walked down, shook hands. He shook my hand and said, "Oh, it's so nice to meet you. And what brings you here?" And I said, "I'm with my student government council." And he goes, "Oh, loyalty."
That's pretty cool. So tell me, what about so say that we already know your taste in music. We already know you love musicals, which is great. What about what is your favorite kind of food?
I don't have a favorite. My husband is a great cook. So he's the chef of the house. Let's see. If I eat Tex-Mex, it makes me get over any homesickness I have. I love French food and I love Indian food. So those are my 3
Wow.
favorites. In our small town, everybody's going, "What kind of restaurant do we need?" And inevitably, I'm always like, "We need an Indian restaurant. We need an Indian restaurant."
Yes, you do. Because when I went to Texas, I saw lots and lots of stuff with steak and brisket and barbecue. I didn't find too many Indian restaurants around.
You will in Austin. You will in Austin.
Oh, really?
But
Okay, yeah. My wife is a fantastic
growing
cook.
up.
So by the way, if you
Well,
guys are ever in the like Philadelphia area, you guys just tell us you're coming over, like, and we'll get a home cooked meal for all y'all, as we say.
awesome.
All right. So listen, since you love all that food, here we go. Hello, old country buffet. Yeah. We need some of that Mexican food, Chinese food, Indian food, everything in the green room. Stat. So hold on. So that was my totally real call to the like restaurant. I know everybody. And before we switch gears here for a second, I want to ask you like one last question. Just what is it that you want people to remember about you?
About me. When I meet people, I try to make them feel really comfortable. I meet them where they are,
Yep.
and I try to learn about them and just see what's important and to them, and just try to make people feel at ease. And I think that that's so important. We walk through life on eggshells and nervous, and the first thing I always want to do is just make sure that people feel comfortable and not nervous.
Beautiful. I love it. All right. Thank you so much, Lorin. You've been amazing. There is her link down below. Make sure you grab it. And if you do, you get the victory bell. And if you've not done so yet before, make sure you like and subscribe to our channel. Follow us so that way every time we are sending out a new live or a new post that you get a response. So we're going to send Lorin to the green room with all that food. Man, I hope she saves me some. And let me share with you some of our sponsors. Right now we have Talkadot, which is an amazing feedback response tool. I got 105 testimonials in less than an hour after my last keynote speech. So I definitely grab that. It's a great tool for doing that, and then you can track your leads and connect with them. We have a Speaker Confidence Mastermind that is weekly, and make sure you grab that. That way you get like-minded people who are going to help you with your health, wealth, mindset, faith, and family, and help elevate other areas of your life as a speaker, a coach, and entrepreneur. We already showed you Lorin's gift here. And one last thing I want to share with you, the upcoming Potapalooza. That's right, an amazing event coming up tomorrow. Make sure you grab that link. It's free to join, and it's only $47 if you upgrade for all the VIPs. And I am a featured show host. That's right. And I think the last thing I want to share with everybody is that the actual TEDx that I just gave 2 months ago finally got approved through the official TEDx site. It is on the official TED site now as of this week. I am so happy. And man, I got to thank all of you. Thank you so much for being part of that journey, because it finally set my voice free. And as you all know, I didn't have a voice for so many years of my life, and now it feels like I finally found my voice. So that speech is called How to Speak When You Can't Talk. And if you know a corporation, association, or a school that needs to hear that, and they all do, to hear about invisible disabilities and why they're so important for increasing your profitability, make sure you check that out and then connect them to me. All right, folks. And if you don't have a branding statement, here's an example of what we can get for you.
When you throw a rock into a lake, what happens? No, there's a splash. You make an impact, and then you get waves. And then you don't know where those waves are going. Those waves are going past around the reeds, and you don't know where that impact is. So all of you out there, when you're on stage, you don't know where your impact is going to end. It's never going to end.
Welcome today to this day's edition of the 60-Second Mind Shift. Today we're going to be talking about the amazing saboteur, the perfectionist. See, I went through positive intelligence course last year as well, and I remember talking about who's my sage, who's my saboteur, and my biggest saboteur that kept coming up was that perfectionist. Now, growing up, I remember thinking, if everything's perfect, people will like me. If the things are perfect, I'll get more respect. If people are perfect, I'll find the right girl. If things are perfect, I'll make more friends. If things are perfect, I'll get more respect from my teachers, my parents, my friends, my cousins. Whew. That saboteur stayed with me a long time in my life. And I realized, even as recent as a couple of years ago, we don't have to be perfect to be loved. And instead, by showing our vulnerabilities and our imperfections, Brene Brown, in her most recent book, talks about vulnerability. and what it takes and why it's so important to connect with people, because when you share the softer side of you, the vulnerable side of you, that is when you build connection with a real person in a real way, not by trying to be perfect all the time. I tell people all the time, I'm the speaker that can't talk right. I still get stuck on different words, and you heard in my even my intro of Lorin, I got stuck on a couple different words there. Oh well, but I have now shifted that perfection into saying, you know what, done is actually much better than being perfect. That was on the wall in Seattle up at the Facebook headquarters. You know, done is better than perfect. And Steve Zuckerberg put that up because he said, listen, we're going to build the plane as we fly it. And I didn't quite understand what that meant. I thought that's just a cliched sign. But guess what? This show is a plane that I started to build as I was flying it. And now I get it. Because a lot of us wait too long for things to be perfect. We're sharpening pencils, and we don't start writing those pencils. So stop sharpening, start writing, start doing the thing that you've been waiting to do, because you think you got to be perfect just to get it out there, just to get the respect of people. You don't need to be perfect. You are exactly perfect, exactly as you are. All right, so let's bring back Lorin and find out whether she saved me any food. So Lorin, how was all that food?
I ate it all. None for you.
Oh, that's okay. No problem. Like I just order more like another time. So tell me, what did you think? What was your big takeaway from the 60-second mind shift, and what would you add to it?
Oh, my big takeaway. You know, I love the idea of the fact that there's no such thing as perfection, right? Mm-hmm. And I like that, and I think that's really important to realize, is that we really need to be empathetic to ourselves and know that we're not going to be perfect all the time, and recognizing that sometimes when we are imperfect, that there's a gift and opportunity there to do better next time.
Yes, that's beautiful. All right, I love that. And then, so Lorin, I just got to say, like, thank you so much for being here. This has been a great show, getting to know you and hearing all the amazing things that you do and how to serve your community. Make sure you grab her link down below. And Lorin, just last question for the show here today. If someone were to give you a blank check, what is your grand vision to change the world?
A blank check. Oh my gosh. So because, as we mentioned earlier, I love musicals and movies, and I feel like art has a huge impact on people in the world. So if I had a blank check, I'd probably start looking for those scripts and stories that really touch people and can have an impact. And so I'd probably do that, see where I could do to support the arts.
Beautiful. I love that. Thank you so much, Lorin, for being here and being amazing. You get the victory bell again. And for everybody else that's been on the live, you thrive, and on the replay, you get to play again. Make sure you like and subscribe and share with others so that we can increase our impact. This is Coach Raja. Don't fake it till you make it. Instead, believe it and become it. And we'll see everybody on the next show. Bye-bye. All right. Great job. 3 quick questions for you, 30 seconds, and we are out of here. Why did you want to come on the show today? What was your biggest takeaway from any part of the show today? And would you recommend me to somebody else's stage?
Yes, and yes. So the first question was, I'm sorry, what was the first? You one at a time.
Why did you want to come on the show today?
I just got such a warmth and genuineness from you that is important to me as a person. Yeah. And so you're very you make people feel comfortable, and you make people feel important. And I feel like that's something that I like to do as well. So I felt a little like that. And I like your message, about invisible things that are invisible about inclusivity, and I like that message. And so I'm looking forward to learning more about that and your message. So
Great. And what was your big takeaway today from any part of the training or the show today?
Wow, you've got this down to a science. Like it's really good.
I've done it a couple times. Yeah.
Yeah, I was really impressed with the professionalism, and it was fun to just really kind of talk and not have this super rehearsed thing, just to be genuine and just see where things went and see how things flowed. And I hope that your listeners get something out of it.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I think they got like a lot of value from here. All right. Thank you so much, Lorin. The podcast crew know what to do from here, and we are officially